Hello everybody. Today's video I'm going to be doing a side-by-side comparison on 4 different thermos here. I'm going to use the Thermos Brand thermos, which I got off Amazon for $39. The Bubba Growler, which is a Walmart, $19.84. The Tal, which is another Walmart brand, $14.82. And then we're doing the Stanley the Heritage Classic bottle, which was $19.82 at Walmart. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to fill each one of them up with 30 ounces of water from a Keurig, hot water first. After we do the hot water comparison, we'll do a cold water comparison. I'm going to be using a thermal infrared meter, measuring the inside temperatures. And then I'm going to go back in 2 hours later, 4 hours later, 6 hours later, 12 hours later, and 24 hours later and see what the temperatures are. We'll see how true they are to what they're supposed to be. The Heritage Classic is supposedly 24 cold, 24 hot. The Tal is 24 cold and 12 hot. The Bubba Growler is 80 cold, 26 hot. And the Thermos Brand is 24 hot, 24 cold. The Stanley Classic. This is supposed to be 24 hot. So 30 ounces of water from the Keurig. And I am getting $169. Looks like 185 at the hot spot. Put the lid on there, and we'll move on to the next one. Next one I'm going to do the Bubba Growler. So my second product here is the Tal, 24 cold, 12 hours hot. Again, took it in there, filled it up with the Keurig. Same amount of water, 30 ounces of water. And this one is checking out at, again, between 165, 169, actually 171, 173. So the inside of the bottom has picked up a little bit more heat than what the inside of the Stanley did. So I'm bouncing this right off the bottom. I'm about 188, 191 degrees. $194.5 is the hot spot. So we're 194.5, and again, it could be because it's bouncing off the aluminum in the bottom. The aluminum's getting a little bit hotter. Either way, we're at 194.5. See what she's like in 2 hours. All right, Bubba Growler, 26 hours hot supposedly. This one's a little bit bulkier than the other ones. This is a 60 ounce unit though. And let's see what we're reading. I'm checking different parts of the inside of the container just to see if I can find a hotter spot than others. So I'm going to find the hottest spot of the container. And looks like we're at 186 on this one. So that's the Bubba Growler. Lid on. 2 hours later, we'll check it again. The Thermos Brand thermos. 30 ounces hot water, straight from the Keurig. And again, let's see where we're reading at. In all fairness, I think that the inside of the thermos has got to heat up first to get a maintained temperature. It looks like we're all going to start off around 185 to 190 degrees. This one is maxing out at 185. So 185 degrees. Lid back on. 2 hours later, we'll check it out and see what we've got. We were at the 2 hour in mark. Let's get some readings off these and see where we're at. So we are at the Stanley Heritage Classic bottle. Two hours in, and we are reading 187.5. That's after 2 hours. All right, this is the Tal. Now, this was the one that was only good for 12 hours. I can already tell on here the top of this plastic is hot, which means it's going to be losing some heat from there. And reading wise, we're definitely down 168. So that's the Tal after 2 hours. Another thing I'm noticing about this is the top of the bottle is losing some heat around here also. It's not hot, but it's definitely warm, so the plastic is transferring the heat down the outside, which is going to cause it to lose heat faster. Bubba Growler. This is similar to the Tal. The top of it is actually warm. So I'm assuming this is going to be losing some heat, but I can definitely feel the hot water coming out of here, the hot air coming out of that one. Let's see, temperature reading, see if we can find a hot spot. This is actually surprising. This is only getting 161. So the Bubba Growler, which is supposed to be 26-hour hot, after 2 hours is down significantly. And our last subject is the Thermos Brand thermos. The cap is still cool. The plastic insert, of course, is a little bit warmer, but not like some of the other ones. And let's see what we're going to read at. Looks like we're still in the 170s. Looks like about 176, 177. So 177. So that's our thermos after 2 hours. Here we are. We're 4 hours into it now. Let's start our bottles out. Let's see what we're at. First up will be our Stanley Classic. Our Stanley at 4 hours later is still 181 degrees. Looked like it jumped to 183 there for a second. So Stanley Heritage at 4 hours, 183 degrees. That's pretty good. All right, let's see what the Tal does. This one only has a 12-hour hot guarantee on it, so I'm sure it won't perform as well. We'll see where we're at though. And our hot spot here is 153, 154. So that's the Tal after 4 hours. Next up is our Bubba Growler. Let's see where she's at. Now, Bubba Growler's got 26 hours hot, so this technically should be the hottest and stay the hottest longest, according to the advertising. The most I'm getting out of this is 163. So Bubba at 163 is not performing like I would think it would or should. Last but not least is our old school Thermos. Or Thermos. I have a good feeling this one and the Stanley are going to be the best choices. Thermos is still 179 degrees after 4 hours. So far, Thermos is winning and the Stanley is second place. Check back in a couple more hours. That'll be our 6-hour mark. We'll see where we're at. We're now at 6 hours into our comparison. I'm going to go through them all one more time, see what we got. First up, I'm going to do the Stanley Classic. Cup's a little bit warm on the outside, not warm. The plastic lid is warm, but not so hot you couldn't touch it. And after 6 hours, $175 degrees. That is 6 hours after it was brewed. Stanley is doing quite well. Moving on to the Tal. Lid is just barely warm on there. And the Tal is down to 139. Now this is only advertising 12 hours. But nonetheless, it's still down to 139 degrees. Don't think it's going to make it. Alright, Bubba's up. Bubba still feels pretty warm. And hottest point is 147. So Bubba is down significantly too. And it's still, this is 26 hours what's advertising hot. There's no way that's going to make it. And last is our Thermos by Thermos. Hello, Becca. Okay, Thermos by Thermos. And our Thermos is coming in at 167. So definitely our Thermos and our Stanley are going to be our winners, but they do advertise 24 hours. So let's give them another 6 hours and we'll go over them again. We'll see what that makes them look like at 12 hours. But as of right now, like this. We are now 12 hours in. All right, our tall is our 12-hour, stays hot. This is definitely not hot anymore. I can just tell by feeling the lid. It may be warm, but it's definitely not hot. So we're getting 116, 117. So 117 degrees, that's, it's still drinkable if it was coffee, hot chocolate, but it's definitely not scalding hot anymore. But for being the least inexpensive, 12 hours later, now if you're opening and closing this the entire time, I don't know what's going to happen to it. Most likely you're not going to keep that heat, but if you just took that with you, opened it up the next morning, you would still have some lukewarm coffee to drink. All right, Bubba, who's advertising 26 hours hot. I don't think Bubba's going to make it either. Bubba seemed to be losing heat yesterday. So our Bubba it's a little bit better than the other. We're at 121 on the Bubba. So the Bubba is 12 hours in, which is advertising 26 hours hot. Not happening. Here's our classic Thermos. This is one of our top runners last night. Definitely still warm. And we're still at 150. 157 degrees. So that's pretty impressive. 12 hours in, we're 157 degrees. I think we started around 190 on this one, 180. So we only lost about 30 degrees. So that one's definitely going quite well. That's going to make it 24 hours. That's going to be about where the Bubba is after half the time. So our Thermos, doing good. That's our Stanley. I think Stanley's going to be right up there with Thermos. I'd be surprised if they're made in the same plant. Oh yeah, definitely hot. So our Thermos brand is, or I'm sorry, this is the Stanley Heritage. So Stanley's at 156. So Thermos and Stanley, definitely good buys. As far as hot, we'll check the cold next time on the next video. But as far as hot, 12 hours in, the Stanley Classic and the Thermos brand are both still at 150 some degrees. Bubba down to 140. The Tal down, way down. But again, they're only advertising 12 hours on here. So for being a 12-hour Thermos, being the least inexpensive, if you've only got a short day ahead of you, you only got to get to work or something with it, that's probably a good buy. All right, everybody, we are 24 hours in now. We're going to start and see what we've got, see where we were at. The Thermos and the Stanley Classic were definitely leading the way. The Bubba Growler was third. The Tal was coming in last, but again, that's only advertising 12 hours. Realistically, that should be cold by now. We'll find out what's happening. Let's start one at a time. All right, the first one's the Tal. Again, we're 24 hours in here. Lid is not even the slightest bit warm. I'm going to guess this is pretty much lukewarm or cooler. Now the air temperature in this room is about 76 degrees. So we're still at 101 degrees. Just for reference, my hot tub's at 103 degrees. So you're cooler than a hot tub, still warmer than the human body. So it is technically warmer than you, but it would probably be like drinking a lukewarm tea. All right, time for the Bubba. Bubba, same thing. When I was checking this before, the lid was warm. I'm not feeling any warmth at all on this lid. I'm having a good feeling this is going to be about the same as the Tal over there. And we are pretty much the same thing, 101 degrees. So the Bubba Growler advertised 26 hours hot, not happening. 12 hours, I think it was down to 146 if I remember correctly, 150 at the most. So I'm guessing you get a good 12 hours out of that. So if you want to spend 19 bucks, you get 12 hours. That's probably not a bad buy. This one probably wouldn't even get you through a day of work. And again, these are opened just long enough to check the temperature. So if you're actually pouring something out of them, chances are they're going to cool off faster. If you're going to go on a road trip or something, or a camping trip, I'm guessing these two over here are going to be the way to go. We'll start with a Stanley and see what it looks like. All right, let's see where the Stanley is. Stanley, the lid is still warm, very warm. And temperature on this guy. We are 130 degrees. So water heaters are usually set at 120, 125, so it's hotter than a water heater normally would be. 130 is borderline probably scalding. It's definitely not boiling, but for 24 hours later, sitting in a container, that's pretty darn good. This is still, yeah, I can put my finger in there, but it's definitely warm. I wouldn't want to stick my finger in there for very long. So the Stanley Heritage is definitely winning so far. Let's check the thermos, see where the thermos is at. And last but not least, we're going to do the Thermos Brand thermos. So for 24 hours in the thermos, this feels very close to the Stanley, which it's been neck and neck the whole way. Let's see what we're reading. And just a slight bit warmer than the Stanley by a degree. So 132 degrees. Again, water heater, 120, 125 maybe. 130 degree water, very uncomfortable. That's still a hot cup of coffee, hot cup of chocolate. Overall, the thermos has definitely outperformed all these. You'll have thermos, Stanley Heritage Classic, Bubba Growler, and then the Tal. Again, Tal, 12 hours hot, but the Bubba, same temperature at 12 hours, outperformed the Tal, but as of 24 hours, both of them are down to 100 degrees. Both of these are still at 130, 131 degrees, so if you're going for a thermos, I would go with the Thermos Brand thermos or the Stanley Heritage Classic. Thermos Brand thermos, again, $39 on Amazon. Stanley, $19 at Walmart. I'd like to thank everybody for watching the video, and please click like and subscribe to the channel.